The girl offered to repay the man's debts with her own body. After a moment's hesitation, the man agreed to her request. Yet this handsome, refined-looking man was nothing less than a gang leader. In his youth, Taehan excelled in both academics and character. But his mother had an affair during their marriage and fell in love with another man. She vanished without a trace, leaving only a table set with food and a note behind. His father, devastated, drowned his sorrows in alcohol until he passed away. 17-year-old Taehan was left to fend for himself. His mother's high-interest loans brought relentless pressure from creditors. Yet Taehan's ruthless nature caught Min-sik's eye, who recruited him into his gang. From then on, Taehan drifted through a haze of aimless existence, until one day, a girl appeared who would change his fate. Taehan and Jae-hwan were collecting debts for their boss as usual. Shattering glass with a single punch served as a warning. Yet Taehan showed no undue cruelty to the old man, setting a repayment deadline before walking away. Little did he know what the girl he passed by would bring into his life. Returning to collect, Jae-hwan handed Taehan the old man's suicide note. Shocked, Taehan ordered his men to search for the family. The old man's daughter, Yuna, clutched her exam results. Her top-ranking scores filled her with pride. Yet the news of her father's disappearance left her utterly anxious. Meanwhile, Jae-hwan saved the uncle from jumping into the river, only to make him taste his fists. Witnessing her father's brutal treatment, Yuna refused to bow to the gangsters and fought back. But a fragile girl against a group of burly men, her resistance seemed utterly futile. Yet Taehan witnessed this scene. The girl's plight mirrored his own past. The dropped report card stirred Taehan's compassion, but Yuna's defiant gaze betrayed her hatred toward him. She stated she'd deliver the money Saturday at 3 p.m. Ignoring his men's warnings, Taehan chose to trust Yuna. Jae-hwan grew deeply concerned over Taehan's actions, yet Taehan declared he couldn't live like this anymore. His actions caused his greed-driven older brother to lose trust in him. The elder brother even dispatched men to monitor Taehan's every move. True to her word, Yuna arrived as promised, but she hadn't brought the money. She proposed settling the debt with her body instead. After a moment's hesitation, Taehan agreed to her request. He treated Yuna to a Western-style meal, but Yuna appeared extremely impatient. Taehan flung the room key at Yuna, saying, "You can run if you want." Yuna, who had seemed composed moments before, now trembled with fear. But Taehan had long seen through her thoughts. Her courage to face the problem head-on and her willingness to sacrifice herself for her family moved Taehan. He tossed the uneaten food to Yuna, sparing her the exorbitant interest. Yet Yuna was puzzled. "Why are you helping me?" Taehan replied, "Don't give up on your life so easily, because anything is possible. Don't destroy yourself so readily." Taehan departed with a flourish, leaving Yuna alone in the messy room. At Min-sik's birthday party, a man and a woman both fixed their gaze on Taehan. The man felt murderous intent because Taehan was beyond his control. The woman, however, was drawn to Taehan's handsome looks and hidden talents. Meanwhile, a man named President Ju fixed his gaze on the woman. She was the goddess in his heart. Yet, the goddess's eyes were fixed solely on the man named Taehan. This flashed a hint of murderous intent in President Ju's eyes too. Min-sik sneered, bringing up Taehan's past to humiliate him. Yet brotherly loyalty made Taehan endure silently, until Min-sik's vulgar insults toward his mother made Taehan rise in fury and leave. But Min-sik persisted, accusing Taehan of disloyalty. Taehan pleaded with the boss to abandon loan sharking and enter legitimate business. His earnest plea met with the boss's ruthless rejection. He accused Taehan of ingratitude, embezzling company funds, and abusing his position to have affairs with women. These baseless accusations proved Min-sik was beyond redemption. Taehan chose to leave the group he despised. To Min-sik's shock, every brother under him followed Taehan. Jae-hwan blamed Yuna for everything that unfolded that day. He still flung the tuition Taehan had given Yuna at her, declaring, "This is your tuition from Taehan." But Yuna remained cold, retorting, "And what's the interest rate this time?" Furious, Jae-hwan couldn't fathom why Taehan would do this. Still, he forced his rage back. Yuna asked Taehan why he was funding her. Taehan awkwardly asked Yuna to wait outside, but Yuna wouldn't let it go. With no other choice, Taehan changed his tone. "If you really must ask now, you can come in. We can talk it out." Yuna stormed off angrily, while Taehan wore a mischievous grin. Facing Yuna's questions, Taehan confessed frankly, "Back when I faced misfortune, If someone had extended a helping hand, I wouldn't be in this miserable state now. I'll transfer money to you every semester. Consider it saving my past self. The money is yours. I won't take it back, and you don't need to repay it. Whether you use it yourself or give it to others is entirely up to you." With that, he rose and departed with a flourish, though Yuna deeply resented Taehan's identity. His demeanor seemed utterly mismatched to his status. Amid her confusion, a flicker of gratitude toward Taehan emerged. Min-sik, enraged and humiliated, swore to take Taehan's life. Just as the crisis loomed, Minju, who secretly loved Taehan, alerted him in time. Yet, the moment Min-sik finalized the building purchase contract with President Ju, he received news of the mission's failure. This terrified Min-sik. To save himself, he ordered Yuna's kidnapping. President Ju had just received the cash Min-sik transferred. Taehan appeared before them, faced with Min-sik's renewed insults toward his mother. Taehan's patience finally snapped, yet the honorable Taehan refrained from killing him. After warning Min-sik, he turned to leave, but unexpectedly, Min-sik had abducted the innocent Yuna. Taehan's heart began to tremble, watching his beloved girl face imminent danger. Taehan rushed to save Yuna without hesitation. Fighting his way through, he finally got Yuna to the door, only to find it blocked. Just then, Min-sik struck from behind. Taehan pushed open the door with all his strength, using his body to shield Min-sik and allow Yuna to escape. Yuna hesitated, pausing in her steps, but Taehan's roar left her no chance to turn back. Fatal wounds stripped Taehan of his ability to fight back. Just as Taehan was about to fall victim to the attack, Jaehwan arrived in time to save his brother's life. But the agitated Jaehwan couldn't match Min-sik's cunning. Knocked to the ground, his life was now threatened. Taehan mustered his last ounce of strength to provoke Min-sik and divert his attention. Jaehwan seized the moment to knock Min-sik down, allowing the brothers to escape this hellish place alive. Yet a brutal truth left Jaehwan stunned. Min-sik was dead. The incident had been his doing. Taehan wanted to take the blame for his brother. Ignoring his elder brother's pleas, Jaehwan chose to confess and face justice. His only wish was for Taehan to care for his younger brother. This man, wavering between good and evil, resolutely chose to follow Taehan into the light. Yet Jaehwan never imagined time could not only heal wounds, but also transform a life shrouded in darkness. 7 years saw Taehan rise from street thug to wealthy conglomerate chairman. True to his brother's trust, he consistently supported Jaehwan's younger brother, Jaeho. After completing his studies, Jaeho remained by Taehan's side. Meanwhile, lacking prestigious credentials, Yuna drifted through society's underbelly, unwilling to accept her circumstances. Yuna sought opportunities to prove herself, only to face the scornful ridicule of a wealthy heiress. The harshness of reality left Yuna deeply insecure, yet she yearned for the life of the privileged. Little did she know her fate was about to shift. As if fate were playing a cruel joke, Yuna crossed paths with the heiress once more. Standing nearby, Minju recognized the girl who had been humiliated at the banquet. Taehan's heart stirred once more at Yuna's presence. The heiress's deliberate provocation incensed Yuna into defiant retorts. But the manager, unwilling to offend a client, demanded she either pay a month's salary or beg for mercy on her knees. Society's harshness had already worn away her sharp edges, yet a strong, firm hand pulled her from the predicament. Taehan flung down money and dragged Yuna out of the restaurant. Only then did Minju realize Yuna was the girl Taehan had never forgotten. Taehan passionately confronted Yuna, pointing out the ample funds he transferred her monthly. Yet Yuna, instead of studying, was working part-time, deeply disappointing Taehan. Stubborn Yuna, however, recoiled at Taehan's appearance. Under his relentless questioning, Yuna revealed the truth. Her father was ill. Taehan's sudden presence had crushed Yuna's pride, yet Taehan refused to see her humiliated. Yuna demanded why he had intervened. In that moment, Taehan fell silent. He realized he had fallen for her without even knowing it. Yuna tried to leave, but Taehan held her tightly. By now, Yuna's attitude toward Taehan had changed, but Minju's sudden call of husband made Yuna angrily shake Taehan off. Minju's deliberate teasing of Yuna enraged Taehan, who chose to leave. Yuna, however, mistakenly believed Taehan was married. Overcome with disappointment, she shed tears. Taehan's presence transformed Yuna's life. Her father's medical bills were paid in full, and he was moved to a luxury ward. Her mother had already sensed Taehan's feelings for her daughter, yet Yuna seemed profoundly despondent. She struggled to accept Taehan's help. Taehan simply said, "If it feels like a burden, just pay me back." Yuna confronted him, demanding to know if he liked her. Faced with her question, Taehan summoned a company executive. Learning Taehan was unmarried, Yuna's eyes sparkled with disbelief. The budding romance thrilled Taehan deeply. Seeing his beloved girl daily filled him with joy. Finally, Taehan confessed his feelings, but Yuna feared others would think she was after his money. Taehan dismissed this, certain Yuna would fall for him, yet his past reputation as a bad boy repelled Yuna. Taehan pressed, "Am I really worse than your current life?" His words struck deep within Yuna. Driven by her insecurities, she fled from Taehan. Taehan only wanted Yuna to have a better life. Her presence had given him new life and built his empire. But Yuna couldn't shake her past. This left Taehan deeply conflicted. His sincere confession moved Yuna, giving her the courage to meet his earnest gaze despite her insecurities. Yuna's heart began to soften. Yet the next day, she still rejected Taehan. To her surprise, Taehan didn't press her at all. Their plans for a trip abroad fell through. Still, Taehan handed her the plane tickets, urging her to relax and clear her mind. Lacking mutual understanding, Yuna inevitably rejected Taehan. Yet Taehan's positive, sunny disposition began to sway her. Taehan used his own experiences as cautionary tales to warn students against straying down the wrong path. This also revealed to Yuna a past even more tragic than her own. Taehan's words of encouragement to the children reminded Yuna of a scene from her past. At that moment, the once dark image in Yuna's heart slowly began to fade. Taehan continued supporting Yuna through his actions, and Yuna gradually shifted her attitude. His spicy resistance was unbearable for Taehan. His pained expression surprised Yuna and amused her. Unnoticed, their feelings were quietly warming. Yuna, now abroad, unexpectedly received a gift from Taehan, filling her with happiness and joy. Taehan's blissful expression was immediately recognized by Jaehwan, who realized his older brother was finally in love. He shared with Jaehwan the professional achievements of his younger brother, Jaeho, which delighted Jaehwan immensely. He also mentioned that Jaeho would be moving into the company to assist him in its development. Just as everything seemed to be heading toward a beautiful future, a chance incident suddenly pushed the two hearts, which had been slowly drawing closer, far apart. A sudden misunderstanding left Yuna feeling gloomy. Yet the appearance of a certain boy brought her a different kind of feeling, immersing Yuna in a time of joy and happiness. However, neither knew of the other's connection to Taehan. Taehan's sudden arrival startled Yuna. Though he claimed to be on a business trip, his true purpose was to clear up the misunderstanding with Yuna. Taehan's words clearly failed to convince Yuna. He invited her to dinner, but Yuna replied she had plans with friends that evening. Yuna's unusual behavior deeply worried Taehan. His gentle words and thoughtful care left Yuna's heart in turmoil. As she looked at the flowers Taehan sent and read the romantic date invitation on the card, Yuna found herself utterly bewildered. Taehan was delighted by his chance encounter with Jaeho. Jaeho, however, wanted to invite his girlfriend along. This made Taehan very happy, and he gladly agreed. Faced with Jaeho's invitation, Yuna didn't hesitate to decline, using illness as an excuse. But Jaeho's caring inquiry warmed Yuna's heart. In comparison, Taehan seemed even more thoughtful. This made Yuna immediately change her mind and dial Taehan's number. With Yuna's steps, all the beautiful misunderstandings were about to end. But Minju appeared at that moment. Taehan, annoyed by Minju's persistence, led her outside. Though Minju had intended to draw closer to Taehan, her unintentional actions made Taehan feel somewhat guilty, prompting him to apologize to Minju. Yet Yuna witnessed all this, deepening her misunderstanding of Taehan. Yuna's mind was in turmoil. She tried closing her eyes to stop thinking, but her complex emotions kept her awake. Taehan, too, sought solace in exercise to calm his own feelings, yet the terrifying scar on his back jolted Yuna's nerves, reminding her of that night years ago. Curiosity about the scar drew Yuna closer to Taehan, though Taehan brushed it off lightly, avoiding the truth. Yuna clearly remembered that during their hot spring encounter, Taehan had no scar. Taehan shifted the topic, asking why Yuna's phone was turned off. Yuna voiced the question weighing on her heart. accusing Taehan of being old enough to know better yet entangled in a love triangle. Taehan, amused by Yuna's words, admitted they were just good friends, no romance involved. Minju, who was once his older brother's woman, does seem to have feelings for him, but Yuna says she seems to like you a lot. Taehan replies, "The only one I like is you." This statement allowed Yuna to see Taehan's love for her, and precisely because of this statement, Yuna didn't meet Jaeho as planned and boarded the return flight early. She tucked the beautiful memories away in her heart and bid farewell to Jaeho. Jaeho, however, was deeply disheartened by Yuna's departure, yet neither realized their emotional entanglement had only just begun. To compensate for his lack of dating experience, Taehan began studying romance techniques with intense focus. His iron-straight personality repeatedly caused his love life to hit walls. A cup of hot coffee showcased his warm-hearted side. A cool, stylish reverse drift revealed his rebellious streak. By now, Yuna had gradually been won over, and she took the initiative to interlock her fingers with his. But his Iron Man personality instantly took over. Yuna angrily pulled her hand away. This time, however, he didn't disappoint the audience. With a classic move, he pulled his beloved girl into his arms. This surprised Yuna, but she didn't resist. "Actually, I really wanted to hold your hand too. That's why I've been seriously studying online." Taehan's charm endeared him to Yuna, and their budding romance took root. Yuna invited Taehan to her home. Her aunt was delighted by his visit, tending to him with attentive care. Her uncle, however, still harbored prejudices toward Taehan. Taehan, oblivious to the stares, savored the feast before him, relishing the long-missed flavors. It wasn't until his uncle's reminder that he realized his lack of decorum. "It's been so long since I've tasted food like this," Taehan said. "How long?" the uncle pressed. Taehan fell silent, though the question touched on painful memories. He chose honesty. "I haven't eaten a home-cooked meal since I was 17. But the uncle continued to ask why. Taehan confessed he'd lost his family. That year, his mother left home with his younger brother. Upon learning this, his father fell ill and passed away from grief. Taehan bravely declared his love to Yuna in front of her family, though her father opposed it. Yuna revealed her own feelings. Yuna admitted Taehan had transformed her life, lifting her family from poverty and freeing her from a life of humiliation. Yuna's declaration of love was largely to repay Taehan, yet she hadn't fully realized her own heart had fallen for this older man. Yuna's father couldn't accept his daughter's change but was powerless to stop it. He could only drown his frustration in alcohol. The couple's romance finally gained the family's approval, but a figure was slowly approaching Yuna's home. At the door, Yuna was publicly displaying affection with another man, Jaeho. Fortunately, her younger brother arrived just in time. Yuna told Jaeho to leave first, promising to contact him the next day. Her brother pressed her, asking why he had kissed her. Yuna told him to forget what just happened, but Taehan inside the house overheard. This left the battle-hardened man momentarily flustered. All of this stemmed from Yuna's wavering feelings about love. Jaeho asked Yuna if she left abruptly that day because of her boyfriend, but Yuna replied it was to repay a debt, and now she had developed feelings for him. Her ambiguous answer made Jaeho feel his chances were wide open. Returning home, Yuna learned Taehan was at the bookstore. Worried he might have witnessed the earlier incident, she personally brought him fruit. Taehan, however, remained unusually calm, easing Yuna's concerns. Faced with Yuna's thoughtfulness, he instantly forgot what had just happened. Yuna also wanted to end this ill-fated romance and told Jaeho not to contact her anymore. Jaeho agreed to Yuna's request, gave her a gift, and left heartbroken. But as Yuna looked at the gift filled with happy memories, her heart wavered. Jaehwan was released from prison, reuniting the brothers. Meanwhile, the calculating President Ju, seeking to win over his goddess, deliberately provoked Jaehwan into a violent altercation. On his first day back at work, Jaehwan was taken away by the police. To help Taehan resolve his troubles, Minju went alone to confront President Ju. She knew President Ju's true motive was to pursue her. Though President Ju agreed to Minju's request, he demanded a kiss as payment. Using this despicable method, President Ju forcibly kissed his goddess. Seeing Minju's tearful distress, President Ju felt a pang of pain. Minju turned and left, leaving President Ju in agony. In the eyes of his goddess, he remained nothing but a despicable clown. This transformed his love for Minju into hatred for Taehan. He deliberately forced Taehan to kneel and apologize in front of everyone. Yuna, unwilling to see Taehan humiliated, stepped forward to stop him. She was viciously knocked to the ground. In that moment, Taehan finally erupted. Yet the fight triggered Yuna's dark memories. Unable to bear Taehan's fierce gaze, she trembled and fled the company. That unbearable experience seemed to resurface, leaving Yuna terrified, unable to sleep at night, and dreading Taehan's presence. Jaeho returned home to find his brother waiting. Overwhelmed by joy at seeing his brother, the boy wept tears of happiness. He vowed to work hard to repay Taehan. To his astonishment, Du appeared at the company. Sharing the same workplace with his beloved girl filled Jaeho with anticipation for their future. He renewed his romantic advances toward Yuna, yet Yuna remained confused about her own feelings. The time spent with Jaeho was always so joyful, leading her to conceal her relationship with Taehan. Meanwhile, Taehan was building their love nest and had even purchased couple rings. But Yuna began to resist Taehan. His affection made her feel repelled, though she never considered why he had acted out. Though Taehan couldn't understand Yuna's stubbornness, he apologized anyway. But Yuna refused the ring, saying she wasn't in the mood. At that moment, Taehan finally snapped. He directly proposed breaking up. He slipped the ring onto his own finger and thrust the other one at Yuna, demanding she make a choice before walking away with surprising nonchalance. Watching Taehan's retreating figure, Yuna's heart was in turmoil. Only when you lose something do you learn to cherish it. Staring at the ring, she recalled Taehan's kindness toward her, plunging her back into confusion. The next day, Taehan felt a pang of sadness upon seeing Yuna hadn't worn the ring. Yet Yuna had found another way to wear it. This very act mirrored her wavering heart. But Taehan still couldn't see through Yuna's true feelings. She dared not wear the ring openly, meeting him only in secret. Yet this fool still wore a blissful smile. Meanwhile, Minju's secret date arranged to set Jaeho up with a girlfriend was witnessed by Yuna, and that person was none other than the woman who had humiliated her before. This incident drew Yuna closer to Taehan. Though their age gap made them seem mismatched, they found immense joy together. On a chilly early spring night, Taehan thoughtfully draped his jacket over Yuna and revealed his 50-point dating guide. This brought Yuna immense surprise. Taehan snatched it away awkwardly, crumpling the guide into a ball. But Yuna said, "I want you to use Rule 42 on me." That rule was to embrace her warmly from behind. The romantic Christmas atmosphere quickly deepened their bond, and Yuna accepted Taehan's affection. But their tender moment was witnessed by Jaeho. The realization that the woman he loved belonged to Taehan devastated the boy who deeply adored Yuna. Yet instead of letting go, he chose to question his brother about Taehan's character. He refused to believe the rumors that his brother was a criminal. Meanwhile, Taehan had consistently supported him financially, leading Jaeho to suspect a secret connection between Taehan and his brother. Meanwhile, Taehan's yearning for love seemed almost laughable. His hundredfold devotion couldn't withstand a single gesture of care from another. The books Jaeho had his friendship from abroad delighted Yuna immensely, drawing her closer to him once more. Yet Jaeho was luring Yuna with the promise of fulfilling her dream of studying abroad, aiming to pull her away from Taehan. But their increasingly ambiguous relationship raised suspicions in the sharp-witted Minju. Yuna's expression once again confirmed Minju's suspicions. Jaeho, disregarding their past kindness, exploited Minju's concern for Taehan to openly sow discord between them. Though Yuna explained it as mutual care between partners, Jaeho's competitive spirit wouldn't let him stop there. The season of blooming cherry blossoms was filled with romantic air. To win this girl's heart, Taehan spares no effort. In his joy, he proposes to Yuna once more. Yet facing Taehan's hopeful gaze, Yuna evades the question's true meaning. "You'll make a good husband. You're a good person." The implication is unmistakable. But naive Taehan mistakenly believes Yuna has accepted, eagerly anticipating their wedding day. Meanwhile, Yuna remains evasive and dismissive. Taehan, baffled, sought answers. Yuna dismissed him with the excuse that kimchi and ice cream couldn't be enjoyed together, then changed the subject. Facing Taehan's dejected expression, she feigned affection. Then, deliberately throwing a tantrum, she stormed off. It was truly astonishing how, at such a young age, She had already mastered the essence of a manipulative woman. Taehan meticulously prepared a romantic hideaway for their date, but Minju arrived just then, bearing delicious food. Though Taehan felt a bit resistant toward Minju, he didn't refuse out of friendship. The taste of the food captivated him, though he didn't know it was actually made by his mother. Minju didn't reveal the truth, and the anticipated date proceeded as planned. The warm atmosphere brought them a moment of happiness. Minju then realized she'd left her bracelet behind at Taehan's place. She knocked on his door once more. Instantly, the room lost its happy vibe. Instead, a thick tension filled the air. Minju didn't linger long and left, but Yuna showed no trust in Taehan, or perhaps this was exactly what she hoped for. It offered a sliver of comfort to her insecure, wavering heart. Taehan's tolerance emboldened her, making her forget who had given her everything. Yuna said, "I know you like me, but what about Minju?" These words baffled Taehan. Why did the woman he deeply loved distrust him so? Taehan demanded, "Just because you feel this way, you think you can accuse me at will?" Yuna tried to leave but was stopped by Taehan. "I listen to everything you say. Do you think I'm weak?" Yuna used her debt to Taehan as a shield, declaring she wouldn't tolerate his wandering heart just because she owed him. Her deliberate misinterpretation of his feelings made Taehan roar, demanding she never utter such words again before storming off in fury. Faced with the situation she'd created, Yuna began to waver, yet she still teetered on the edge of danger, even going so far as to secure an expert's signature for Jaeho. The notebook, however, was left behind on the bus. A dejected Yuna returned to the bookstore, where Taehan had been waiting. He apologized for the day's events. Yuna, utterly preoccupied with the lost notebook, had no heart to acknowledge him. Ironically, this incident allowed Taehan to see the truth. That day, Taehan unexpectedly saw Yuna with Jaeho. The immense emotional shock triggered his old wounds. The excruciating pain was unbearable. Ironically, Yuna was warmly with Jaeho at that very moment. She had already forgotten who rescued her from a miserable life, and who risked his life to push her toward the light. Jaeho, fully aware Yuna was his benefactor's girlfriend, still pursued her relentlessly. He was the very definition of ingratitude. Jaeho confessed to Yuna that his brother was Taehan's sworn brother, imprisoned for accidentally causing a death. Yet Yuna didn't hold it against him like she did Taehan. Instead, she showed profound understanding. Yuna's reaction spoke volumes about her true feelings. Taehan, however, pretended nothing had happened and treated Yuna as always. When Minju kindly offered to help Taehan, the two of them happened to see it, deepening their mutual misunderstanding. To avoid leaving the two alone together for work, Taehan proactively joined their field trip, but Yuna was displeased. She believed the two of them could handle the task just fine. Though Taehan didn't reveal their relationship, an awkward atmosphere filled the room. Yet the two, with no boundaries, continued their secret romance, exchanging glances behind everyone's back. Yuna grew increasingly cold toward Taehan, scornfully dismissing his concessions and tolerance. Instead, she became intensely close with Jaeho, boasting she'd secured a position at a multinational corporation. Taehan, driven by love, once again compromised for Yuna, childishly begging for forgiveness. Yuna, unusually, changed her attitude toward Taehan. Yuna revealed her true intentions to Taehan. Taehan appeared surprisingly calm, but when Yuna announced she would be working abroad, Taehan came to Minju's house. He said nothing and showed no emotion. The usually composed Minju felt as if she were in a dream. Reason told her this couldn't be real, yet at that moment, she didn't want to wake from the dream. But after the fleeting happiness came the merciless reality. Taehan apologetically said they shouldn't meet again. Minju couldn't believe what was happening. Taehan explained the reason. He didn't want the person he loved to keep misunderstanding him. With things having come to this point, Minju finally understood it was because of Yuna. For Yuna's sake, Taehan deeply wounded Minju, who had always loved him. Yet love had blinded Taehan to his true nature. Without Minju's support, Taehan would not be who he is today. Taehan's final farewell shattered Minju's heart. Even though Taehan treated her with cruelty and indifference, Minju refused to lose hope. When you lose your way in the future, when you feel utterly alone, remember this: you are not alone. Wherever your voice can reach, I will still be there. The cold night slowly drifted apart, two hearts heavy with sorrow. Yet emptiness and loneliness still filled Taehan's heart. driving him to stake everything on believing in this so-called love before him. Taehan refused Yuna's request to work abroad. He had already given everything for Yuna, only to be met with a heartless breakup. To conceal the real reason for their split, Yuna instead spoke of her dreams. Yuna's vanity drove her to leave him, breaking Taehan's heart. Yet Taehan never imagined Yuna's true motive was to escape him. After much deliberation, Taehan agreed to Yuna's decision. He arranged a romantic date, presenting Yuna with a ring symbolizing their love. "Wait 2 years," he said, "and I'll place it on your finger myself." Yuna didn't refuse. Her only explanation was that she saw Taehan as a backup boyfriend. The multinational company she applied to was run by a wealthy heiress. Unsurprisingly, Yuna lost this precious opportunity. Just as Yuna was feeling lost, Jae-ho appeared. Though Yuna considered refusing, she couldn't resist Jae-ho's passion. Their clandestine actions remained hidden from the light. Trembling hands and fearful eyes fueled the thrill of their illicit affair. The moment Jae-ho stepped out of Yuna's room, Taehan caught him red-handed. Facing Taehan's questioning, Jae-ho lied about needing more glasses. Taehan didn't suspect much. This dangerous romance troubled Jae-ho, yet it didn't stop him from taking risky steps. Once again, he shook Yuna's wavering heart. Meanwhile, Jae-hwan discovered their secret on his brother's computer. Jae-ho sought to help Taehan recover Minju's withdrawn investment, but Minju exploited the delicate triangle to manipulate Jae-ho, claiming Jae-hwan had taken the fall for Taehan's crimes. Only through this exchange did the brothers attain their current affluence. Minju's distortion of truth stemmed solely from her pathetic, pitiful love. Jae-hwan warned his brother not to harbor improper thoughts toward Taehan's woman. His words struck a nerve deep within Jae-ho. His inferiority complex fueled his growing resentment toward Taehan. Jae-hwan's slap didn't snap his brother out of it. Instead, it only intensified Jae-ho's desire to uncover the truth. Yet Jae-hwan never fully explained the issue. It must be said that in the chain of events leading to Jae-ho's hatred for Taehan, the director's setup here felt overly contrived. Yuna, having lost her chance to study abroad, gradually regained her composure. Taehan invited the entire family to live together in his home. Learning of this from Yuna, Jae-ho felt a wave of frustration wash over him. Driven by intense possessiveness, he seized an opportunity and arrived at Taehan's residence. He shamelessly pulled Yuna into his embrace. Yuna offered no resistance, letting events unfold. But just then, Taehan returned. Not seeing Yuna, Taehan searched everywhere. The two were busy tidying their clothes. As Taehan was about to enter the walk-in closet, Yuna blocked his path, lying that she'd invited Jae-ho to help decorate the room. Her words made Jae-ho's presence seem plausible. Taehan didn't think much of it and thanked Jae-ho, but he wasn't stupid. He'd already grown suspicious of Jae-ho's frequent appearances around Yuna. The white shirt scattered in the dressing room, however, puzzled Taehan. This shirt was the very one Taehan had custom-made for Jae-ho. In an instant, all doubts were resolved. Taehan was utterly enraged. Taehan directly hinted to Yuna to stop going too far. Yuna, however, assumed Taehan remained unaware and secretly rejoiced. But how could a man allow another man to approach his woman with ulterior motives? Jae-ho received a package from Taehan. Inside was a shredded white shirt and a letter. He was stunned. His ungrateful betrayal had been discovered by Taehan. His cowardice and fear twisted into hatred toward Taehan, seeking solace for his trembling heart. Taehan, however, believed he hadn't been perfect enough and showered Yuna with even more affection. He even bought her a limited edition car. Yet Yuna couldn't find joy, for Jae-ho had told her everything. Still, she remained oblivious. A decade-old disappearance case led investigators to Taehan. The missing person was the very scum who had abducted Taehan's mother. But Taehan refused to revisit the painful past, declining to assist the investigation. What Taehan didn't anticipate was that misfortune would follow in quick succession. Jae-ho's early return was a declaration of war. Yuna's words made Jae-ho believe their bond was merely one of gratitude. Taehan, however, spared him out of respect for his brother's kin. Jae-ho, acting like a man, declared his love for Yuna and urged Taehan to let go. Taehan struggled to suppress his rage, yet Jae-ho shamelessly issued a challenge. The thief, disregarding gratitude and decency, turned the tables and acted with false nobility. The deeply loyal Taehan was utterly conflicted and at a loss. Jae-ho clung to Yuna like a bone-eating maggot. For his own selfish desires, he destroyed his own morality. To clarify her feelings, Yuna voiced her true thoughts. She asked Jaeho to keep his distance from her henceforth, but Jaeho's vanity refused to accept defeat. To win Yuna back, he even spread unverified rumors. Taehan isn't that noble, he used my brother to take the fall for him before funding me. At this moment, Taehan had already arrived at the bookstore. To avoid misunderstandings, Yuna asked Jaeho to step aside, though Taehan appeared calm on the surface. His trust in Yuna had shattered. Yuna made an excuse to leave, allowing Jaeho to escape through the back door. Yet the embrace before their parting broke Taehan's silence. Ultimately, reason overcame his inner demons, preventing him from resorting to violence. Watching his beloved girl being dragged away by Taehan, Jaeho was suddenly overcome with fear. Yuna, feeling wronged, wanted to explain, but with the truth laid bare, Taehan gave her no chance. Misled by Jaeho's twisted version of events, Yuna bluntly told Taehan she liked Jaeho. These words plunged Taehan into utter despair. Unbeknownst to him, his love for Yuna had become an obsession. Jaehwan was furious upon learning of his brother's actions, yet deep familial bonds prevented him from harming Jaeho. Caught between Taehan, as close as a brother, and his beloved younger sibling, Jaehwan wept in this agonizing dilemma. Yuna too faced a crushing choice. Her mother demanded she prepare for next month's wedding, but Yuna declared she had fallen for someone else and refused to marry Taehan. Her mother, who had always doted on her, instantly turned cold. Ironically, Yuna, the one causing all this, still saw herself as the victim. Despite Yuna's repeated betrayals, Taehan's love for her remained unchanged. He even used a video recording to express his feelings to Yuna. As he struggled to convey them verbally, Yuna's fickleness in love also troubles Jaeho, and fuels his desperate need to uncover the truth from 7 years ago. But Minju, colluding with President Ju, orchestrates a clever deception. Minju's lies to Jaeho are solely meant to shatter Taehan's relationship. Her words confirm that his brother took the fall for Taehan, and lead him back to Taehan's home. Jaeho demands Yuna break up with Taehan, yet Yuna insists Taehan won't let her go. She also fears for Jaeho's safety, but neither realizes how laughable their so-called love truly is. Jaeho urges Yuna to flee abroad and wait for him. Taehan agonizes over constantly compromising for love, but his distraught figure breaks another woman's heart. Only upon returning home did Taehan recall the camera was still recording. Playing back the footage revealed images that enraged him. Taehan raced down the highway like a wild horse breaking free. The love he'd sacrificed everything for was nothing but a one-sided delusion. Yuna's professed affection stemmed solely from fear of him. The agony in his heart made him roar like a beast. The crushing blow left him utterly devastated. Jaehwan witnessed the exchange on tape but misinterpreted Yuna's intentions. He believed Yuna sought to harm his older brother to escape Taehan. A shameless woman had plunged 2 men as close as brothers into agony. This pushed Jaehwan to the brink of fury. After a night of soul-searching, Taehan finally let go of his obsession and chose to release her. But just as everything seemed to be ending, an unexpected turn occurred. Jaehwan secretly hired an unlicensed taxi, using Yuna's personal information to lure her to his carefully chosen location. Just as Jaehwan was about to confirm Yuna's fate, an approaching delivery truck forced him to flee in panic. It was precisely this delivery truck that discovered the unconscious Yuna. Taehan received the news and rushed to the hospital. Yet Yuna's father, blinded by his own confusion, blamed Taehan for the incident. It was truly shameful to witness this old man's actions. As Taehan regained his composure, he recalled his conversation with Jaehwan. Thanks to timely medical intervention, Yuna slowly regained consciousness. Unexpectedly, however, she had lost her memory. She remembered Taehan and her family, but had forgotten Jaehwan. Her severe injuries had left her unable to move, and she might face lifelong paralysis. Taehan concealed Yuna's betrayal against him. Yuna had been working tirelessly all along. Jaehwan wrote down the truth about his brother's origins on paper and left it for Taehan. When Taehan questioned him, Jaehwan revealed the entire truth without holding back. Taehan fell silent after his initial rage, because back then, Jaehwan had already endured too much suffering to save him. Precisely because of this, he deleted Yuna's call history. Yuna seemed to have genuinely forgotten the painful past and became deeply dependent on Taehan. This made Taehan begin to hesitate about how to face the current situation. Jaeho, however, no longer wished to live bound by gratitude. Betraying that debt, he chose to forge his own path. Now Taehan found himself besieged on all sides. Jae-ho pursued clues to uncover the truth. Min-ju, twisted by her desire for his love, orchestrated a deception for him. Ultimately, it all stemmed from this girl named Yuna. Yet Taehan concealed the truth of Yuna's betrayal, shielding her due to her illness. Jae-hwan had already spotted Yuna's inconsistencies and pushed her to the edge of the cliff. Yuna's brakes failed, sending her tumbling into the grass. The blow to her head left her unconscious. Perhaps only injury could bring Yuna to her senses. Her numb legs made every step impossible. Helpless, she struggled to climb upward. Yet even now, Yuna hadn't realized that everything she endured wasn't orchestrated by Taehan alone. Yet Taehan reappeared before Yuna just as she faced danger. But instead of gratitude, she felt only fear, for she had always believed Taehan was the one who harmed her. Precisely because of this, she feared Jae-hwan would be hurt. She feigned amnesia and distanced herself. Even after her legs healed, she continued pretending to be unable to walk, all to deceive Taehan and allow Jae-hwan to meet her. Yet she overlooked one crucial fact: Taehan, a titan of the business world, was no fool. Soon, Taehan confirmed his suspicions, but he couldn't understand why Yuna would act this way. So, on her birthday, he presented her with a pair of high heels, knowing she could no longer hide the truth. Yuna approached Taehan and poured out her heart. Only if she forgot everything would Jae-ho be safe. Taehan couldn't believe Yuna still saw him as a villain capable of any evil. This deep misunderstanding made Yuna swear she'd stay by Taehan's side forever. But what man could tolerate a woman by his side whose heart belonged to another? "I'll send you to that man." Yet these words didn't bring Yuna joy, they filled her with terror. For leaving Taehan meant her life would be in danger. Now Yuna regretted accepting Taehan's help. His aid had ruined her life. Yet her selfishness blinded her to the truth. Without Taehan, her family would have been destroyed long ago. Jae-hwan learned his sworn brother Dong-hyuk had embezzled massive company funds for stock trading. Enraged, Jae-hwan called Taehan and set a meeting place. He demanded Dong-hyuk apologize to Taehan face-to-face. But Dong-hyuk's taunting words provoked Jae-hwan, leading to a violent fight between the brothers. Seriously injured and unconscious, Jae-hwan hovered on the brink of death. Jae-hwan's accident deepened Jae-ho's misunderstanding of Taehan. Yuna's impending departure filled Taehan with reluctance, yet without hesitation, he offered his blessings and let her go. Yet Yuna's current state of mind was not as joyful as she had imagined. Reality, however, thrust the family into crisis. The landlord demanded the property back as the lease expired. The family faced the threat of homelessness. The mother condemned her daughter's immoral, shameless behavior. Though seemingly free, Yuna couldn't shake the lingering shadow of the past. Taehan handed Yuna the letter Jae-hwan had left for Jae-ho. He believed Yuna's closeness to Jae-ho made her the ideal conduit for revealing Jae-ho's origins. Yet Jae-ho's misunderstanding of Taehan left him skeptical. Meanwhile, Yuna stumbled upon documents concerning Taehan's missing younger brother. It turned out Jae-ho had known all along but chose not to tell Taehan. Instead, he planned to leverage the power of Taehan's brother's conglomerate to take over Taehan's company. Amidst these two secrets concerning his brother's origins, Taehan and Jae-ho displayed starkly contrasting reactions, leaving Yuna feeling an unprecedented sense of unfamiliarity toward the Jae-ho by her side. Whether driven by guilt or a sense of repayment, Yuna resolved to inform Taehan about his brother. Yet at that very moment, an unexpected incident occurred. Faced with sudden danger, Yuna instinctively threw Taehan to the ground. Seeing Yuna injured, Taehan grew deeply concerned and insisted on taking her to the hospital for treatment. Yet Yuna only wanted to tell Taehan about his brother. Taehan dismissed it as a deliberate fabrication by Min-ju and paid it no mind. Just then, Jae-ho appeared, but his concern wasn't for Yuna's injuries, but whether Yuna had revealed his sinister plans to Taehan. Relieved his scheme remained undiscovered, Jae-ho claimed work obligations, disregarding Yuna's injuries as he turned to leave. Yuna now lay abandoned like a blade of grass in the wind. Seeing her unattended, Taehan's compassion stirred. He intended to take her to the hospital but encountered heavy traffic. Instead, Taehan meticulously purchased a medical kit and personally bandaged Yuna's wounds. Yuna voiced her suspicion that the chairman of LK Group might be Taehan's brother. Taehan remained skeptical at first, until Yuna explained her reasoning again. At that moment, Taehyun's heart finally softened. Jae-ho harbored resentment toward Yoona for helping Taehyun search for his brother. Their parting was bitter. The acquisition plan unfolding revealed Jae-ho's treacherous nature to Minju. Wasn't stripping Taehyun of everything before pursuing her own love exactly what Minju desired? Yet she was tormented by the impending devastation Taehyun would face. Taehyun finally tracked down the LK Group chairman for his brother. He learned Taemin was his long-lost sibling. Taehyun shared clues about the chairman's son with him, hoping the chairman would meet Jae-hwan soon to reunite the family. Taemin's reluctance to acknowledge his brother stemmed solely from lingering resentment over his brother's failure to search for him years ago. Jae-hwan's awakening resolved all misunderstandings. All hatred toward Taehyun now dissolved into regret and self-mockery, leaving this arrogant, overconfident boy utterly humiliated. Minju ultimately couldn't bring herself to persuade Taemin to abandon the Taehyun Group acquisition, but Taemin had his own plans. Facing Jae-won's hit-and-run case, Yoona insisted she was unharmed and requested leniency from the police. She also received news that Taehyun had found his younger brother. This brought some comfort to her guilt-ridden heart. Taehyun finally let go of his hatred and forgave his mother. Don-hyuk confessed to his crimes, yet years of brotherly bond prevented true hatred between them, ultimately mending their rift, perhaps driven by guilt or unwilling to bear the stigma of ingratitude. Jae-ho grew increasingly cold toward Yoona. Both came to understand the bitter taste of an immoral affair. Minju could scarcely believe her ears. Taehyun had actually accepted her proposal. After a decade of waiting, Minju eagerly slipped into her wedding gown. Yet another man felt excruciating pain at Minju's wedding. A decade of pursuit now seemed hopeless, filling President Ju's eyes with tears. His love for Minju would never let him give up. A murder investigation pointed directly at Taehyun. Taehyun had clashed with his father over the abuse his mother endured. With no witnesses, Taehyun became the prime suspect. Taehyun and his mother each gave conflicting accounts, shielding one another. This made Yoona question her own prejudice against Taehyun. She asked Taehyun for the truth. Yoona's plea held no meaning for Taehyun anymore. Love itself should be built on mutual trust. Yet Yoona had already betrayed herself. Even if Yoona knew the truth, what could it change? Minju's arrival made the atmosphere slightly awkward, because in Minju's eyes, Yoona would forever be the one who hurt Taehyun in the most shameless way. Just as Yoona was about to leave, Taehyun announced his wedding to her. A despondent Yoona deleted the only photo on her phone. Her face appeared calm, yet her heart trembled beyond description. The sole witness to the case, President Ju, met with Minju and recounted the events of that day. Taehyun's father had not been murdered, but died in an accident. Jae-hwan, believing Taehyun had killed his father, moved the body that night and buried it in the mountains. Minju pleaded with President Ju to testify in court, but President Ju seemed to be calculating something. Her youthful age and immature mindset caused Yoona to lose the man others only dreamed of. She could only ease her longing for Taehyun through dreams. The words "Why don't you love me anymore?" on the small blackboard jolted Yoona awake from her dream. It also drove her to the little bookstore in the silent night. Yet no message from Taehyun appeared on the board. Disappointment and sorrow made tears fall uncontrollably. But for her, it was all too late. Through Taehyun's efforts, the family finally reunited. Taemin also resolved his inner conflict and formally acknowledged his brother. Jae-ho and Yoona realized their so-called love was merely a momentary impulse. Their relationship, not built on genuine affection, led them to calmly choose to part ways. Ultimately, Jae-ho also reconciled with his father. President Ju, deeply in love with Minju, harbored resentment. To clear Taehyun's name, he made a despicable demand of Minju: "If you don't attend the wedding, I'll go to the police station and reveal the truth." Minju couldn't comprehend President Ju's actions, yet his determination to fight until the very end left her helpless. Taehyun was utterly devastated when Minju failed to appear at the wedding, believing Taehyun would eventually uncover the truth. Yoona saw hope in Taehyun's sorrowful eyes. Minju spun a beautiful lie for Taehyun, bearing all the sorrow herself. For her, the days spent with Taehyun were undoubtedly the happiest moments of her life. Yoona embarked on a journey to pursue her own dreams. President Ju also relinquished his own obsession with love, ceasing to torment Minju. This allowed Minju to rekindle her hope for love. Yoona returned to Korea for her father's book signing event. Jae-ho's unexpected appearance startled Yoona, yet a brief exchange of glances caused a shift in Yoona's gaze. Taehyun, having regrouped, returned to the conglomerate and reconciled with Jaeho. One summer evening, Taehan encountered Yuna once more. Yuna had been waiting at the bookstore all along to see Taehan. Taehan, however, simply tells her to go home and sleep, stating he won't hire her. At this point, most viewers likely feel both frustrated and angry. Yet two crucial points cannot be overlooked. First, President Ju has ceased pursuing Minju, driven by her love for Taehan. Minju will undoubtedly reveal the truth about the elopement to him. Given Taehan's deep sense of loyalty and honor, you can imagine his reaction. Second, Yuna and Jaeho's immoral affair means Taehan will never accept her again. Even if he did, how would they handle the awkward situation with Jaeho? And would Minju ever let Taehan go easily? Overall, this is a terribly botched ending. I don't recommend watching the original version.